Hello, everyone. Welcome to our overview of our facility service management solution built in the Smartsheet platform. Today, we're going to review kind of right from the get-go of how to see your overall operations and portfolio for all of the sites or facilities you might be managing for your maintenance or service contracts management within this field and application. So starting first here and out, we're kind of viewing this overall operations or portfolio dashboard. There's some high-level measures in here, trying to see how your projects or your opportunities are by stage, whether they are being bid in an opportunity where you're going through the proposal stages, as well as which ones are active and have transitioned into warranty. Some other measures around maybe the type. This might be a market segment or an area of focus, as well as maybe some demographic or kind of state, in this case, locale, just to help show you your diversity of the portfolio. Now, in a similar vein, you can also view kind of the scope of work or the potential impact, not only from a capacity or kind of a resource load. Is this timeline view here? You can do this by quarters or months or whatever breakout makes more sense for you. We're kind of grouping this by, the stage, at least within our pipelines. But really, the concept of these dashboards here are, at least at the portfolio level, is the high-level aggregate of all the information for your surface items for each one of your locations. So we got things like showing the total annual kind of revenue for the recurring items that you have. In this case, it's by site. You can also distribute this over time if you'd like to see the projected impact. And then over here is a little bit more of a granular item for recurring items. There's some formatting rules in here that are highlighting if it's expiring soon or past due for something to follow up with the sales and engagement teams. We're also tracking things like the change orders, either by the status or by the customers that we have kind of in here. Again, seeing kind of the, in this case, the greatest impact of folks that are have a large amount of change orders to report into, and then following that theme, kind of your breakdown table for that report that you can click through as well. Also tracking in billing amounts, certainly by what's due, what's been paid, anything that's left for contract work to be maintained, and then seeing those granular details over towards the right. And then even things like the service requests, either by the stages or status of these, and then your more granular service kind of calendar over here. And again, all these are kind of the roll-up of the underlying sites that we'll look at here in a second. There are some additional components for resourcing and capacity management. This is leveraging Smartsheet's resource management tool here. This can basically tell you, maybe like service technicians or project managers or site managers who's over or under allocated that can pick up more work. You can expand these and view details and see kind of what work needs to be assigned or reassigned, and even run additional reports like utilization reports to see how effective your team is being managed for these projects. So now that we've seen kind of the aggregate at that high level, you can drill into live projects. I'm actually going to hop over to the intake or your proverbial master kind of contracts or site logs. In here, this really is just the high level view of all of the projects or contracts in your purview. So it's going to include things here like proposal numbers or project codes, so maybe the assigned project managers, company name, company codes, etc. And while you can add these in line directly, select from a list of maybe pre-existing companies within your data sets, you can always upload these or kind of add them new via form. This can go to your accounts team or possibly to financials if they have these, but there are tools in Smartsheet that you can import these direct in bulk and even further set up things like syncs within. So when a site or a project is kind of kicked off that you are maintaining, you'll see this kind of project link appear right here. This allows you to click in and drill down further into the details of that project. So we can open up this Atlanta Center, and what we should see here is the site or the project-specific dashboard. So it'll take a little bit, so I'm just going to go to a preloaded version of that dashboard. But as we've clicked in, this is now that site or that project specifically. So we're now at a more granular view for this content. In here, you're seeing that high-level information, existing company code. This is all content from our intake sheet that might be there for reference. You can also view a more granular view for the budget performance, maybe the service request completed versus requested over time. And then similar to the portfolio view, but just tailored specifically for this project, the recurring items, which ones are overdue or past due in the chart, change orders, etc. So again, this is just the more granular site-specific information. If you wanted to kind of dive in and actually manage these in detail or update the information, that's when you'll click through kind of these assets here on the left rail, things like the billing tables. And this can be where you're managing maybe the pay applications, trying those to invoices, mapping those to maybe your accounting and financial codes, plugging the billing dates, the amounts, etc. You can always upload these attachments in here for quick reference. Note if these have been paid, and these will reflect up to your project budgets and portfolios. Next, in a similar vein, is the budget log. So if you're creating budget categories, maybe you're tying it to an external financial tool, this is where you can do your planning and reporting, see the impact of pending or approved change orders that's coming into the budget itself. And then the change orders, of course, kind of rolling into the budget and the billing status of these change orders, setting up content like approval workflows as needed. You can certainly view these over in board view if you want to review this for a to-do doing done. I'm reviewing this by approval status here, just making it easier for users to come in and drag from an approved state into approved or rejected content. Again, rounding out some of the management of the objects inside of your facility specifically, things like a contact database or log. These can be billing contacts. They can be customer contact details. If there's a service technician or user that you need to contact, and here you can log that inside of your base. And then things like deliverables. So this might be, if there's specific documents or high-level items that need to be completed kind of over time, just a quick checklist item of those contents. Then you may need to request or materials. That could be equipment, but it could be, maybe the service items need, additional piping or lubrication or repair parts. This is basically where you can request materials on site or track even for things like an inventory to see what's there and available. Track things for the service rates on those as well, so you can see kind of the expected cost. And then one of the larger items are going to be the service items. So these are what are rolling into your contracts. You can track these with, a RAG indicator if they are operational or having issues, what your items are, if you're vendoring or managing vendors within your contracts in here, reference codes, your tracking IDs, as well as the dates and your yearly costs. Again, this information rolls up not only from a site facility up to your portfolio. And down to some of the tail end content in here are things like your engagement schedule. So if you're not necessarily in the warranty phase of an engagement yet, and you're actually kicking off a new engagement with a site specific, you can maintain things like a customized kickoff schedule where maybe you're installing equipment prior to turning them over to the maintenance realm. So whatever your processes may be for startup, maybe before moving to that maintenance or commissioning, you can certainly leverage a schedule like this to plan out those activities over time and kind of see what might be the forecasted beginning and end dates for that work. Now, the service requests, of course, once that equipment's up there and operational, and your customers are kind of going through the motion of their assets, they can actually fill out service requests via form, or you can give them portal access to the sheets. They can upload the files if there's any issues kind of within any one of those specific objects, service request dates, descriptors, what's a priority impact. Your team will receive automated alerts for that content within. And then, of course, this goes into your service request kind of database here, where you're tracking in things like the service start dates, end dates, when they're completed, requested, and tracking in, the age of those service items. And then lastly, visits, or kind of like similar to work orders or work performed. So you can track what was the work performed, date, time, technicians, what assets they were working on, time values, and then set up content for approval review workflows. This will send out automated alerts and approvals to the customer or to the contact. Again, this is a reference from our contacts table, where you can kind of get them to agree or deny to the work performed within the portfolio. And again, all that information rolls up to that project facility dashboard specifically. So you've got that snapshot, And then you can always go even higher back up to the portfolio dashboard to see how everything is performing within your operations as a whole. That wraps up our demo of our facility kind of service and field service management for assets on your sites. We reviewed how to monitor and report on content for your portfolio as a whole, as well as a more granular look for each project or site specific, and then the underlying assets there that you are able to actually manage the work. Any questions, please let us know. Thank you for your time.